Gives everybody a chance to finish the bike today now. I'll call to order so we can do that.
Oh, no.
It's
Yeah,
connect,
what's that?
it's connecting, so.
Okay.
All right. Anytime.
It's just being teachable.
Lenny, you changed. Yeah, that movement was really hot, I'm not gonna lie. It was the 100th day of school, so it was just like 100-year-old.
I think it's really good.
Gotcha.
It's my normal clothes.
It doesn't match. They had the sweater. I thought it, and I'm not being flippant. I thought you were laughing. I didn't realize it was.
In my house coat.
Didn't even realize it was house coat. Just thought it was a nice, comfortable. Yeah,
What's that?
You just got interrupted.
Yeah, don't let this.
Well, I'm waiting. I'm making sure.
Yeah,
we're-
you're good.
Okay,
Yes.
and I'm making sure that.
realize that for
everybody has a chance.
We're live.
Well, I figured they wanna.
Swing the hammer.
There you go. Just
I think they wanna have their mouth full when they do the pledge of allegiance.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna call over this work session for the Washington Mills School District Board of Directors. We'll start with pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, let's start with the middle school, high school student survey data.
Yes. So in front of me, you have kind of two different handouts. Kind of want to start with just the narrative, kind of go through that, and then the slides kind of break it down. What's been summarized in the document, then you can kind of go back and kind of take a look at each question, and the responses are the individual questions and the actual responses that the students gave. I don't see, just read through it morally. So the survey responses provide insights into various aspects of students' experiences. Demographically, most students identified as white, with some identifying as multiracial, Native American, African American, Latino, Latinx, or LGBTQIA+. A few students chose not to disclose their demographic information. When it comes to school events and experiences, participation varied significantly. Some students attended 6 or more events, while others reported attending fewer or none at all. A number of students were unsure about their participation. Regarding academic aspirations, many students expressed a desire to attend 4-year college, while others preferred trade school, military service, or direct entry into the workforce. Career interests range from doctors, engineers, teachers, to artists, cosmetologists, and professional athletes. Students had mixed experiences in their classes. Some felt engaged in all of their subjects, while others reported minimal involvement in any of them. Many named specific teachers they felt comfortable with, often citing them as sources of support and guidance. Bullying and discrimination were also addressed in the survey. Several students reported being targeted or witnessing others being treated unfairly based on race, body size, gender, social class, and sexual orientation. While some expressed feelings of sadness and frustration about these experiences, others reported feeling indifferent. The school environment and suggestions for improvement were common themes in the responses. Many students raised concerns about unkind behavior in school, issues occurring in the bathrooms, and the dissatisfaction of lunch arrangements. Suggestions for improvement included implementing better discipline, fostering greater respect for teachers, increasing break times, adjusting school bell schedules, and improving the quality of food offered. After that, I kind of broke it down by each class and kind of just analyzed that data, so it's not as global. So in 6th grade, the responses to the questions using a 1 to 4 scale, 1 to be like never, 4 often, or highly satisfied, revealed key trends about student experiences. When asked about their involvement in school activities and events, many students rated themselves a 3 or 4, indicating a generally high level of participation, though some reported lower levels of involvement. Regarding safety at school, the students provided ratings of 3 or 4, suggesting they feel relatively secure. However, there were some lower scores often tied to concerns about bullying and unkind behavior. A similar pattern appeared when students were asked about their comfort level with teachers. The majority felt comfortable, reflected in higher scores, but a few reported discomfort likely stemming from negative experiences or weaker relationships with school staff. Understanding the material being taught received mostly threes, showing that while many students feel confident in their learning, some struggle, particularly in certain subjects like math. Support from school staff is also generally rated highly, with most students scoring it a 3 or 4. Those who provided lower ratings often expressed a lack of trust in some adults at school. Overall, overall school experience was another area where responses clustered around 3 and 4. While this suggests a mostly positive outlook, some students voiced dissatisfaction due to issues such as bullying, discipline, concerns, or certain school policies. These patterns highlighted both strengths in student engagement and areas that require further attention from school staff. Seventh grade students at Pleasant Hill shared a variety of perspectives on their school experience, reflecting both positive aspects and areas for improvement. Many students felt a sense of belonging, with several reporting active participation in school events. While some students expressed feeling included and respected, others noted concerns about unkind behavior and inappropriate conduct in shared spaces like bathrooms. A few reported instances of discrimination based on body size, race, or social interactions. Despite these challenges, students highlighted positive experiences with friendships, extracurricular activities, and certain academic subjects. When asked about improvements, students emphasized the need for better discipline and stronger enforcement of rules regarding bullying and inappropriate behavior. Some suggested healthier food options, longer lunch breaks, and more engaging teaching methods to improve their overall experience at school. Others expressed the desire for teachers to be more understanding and approachable, creating a more supportive learning environment. Seventh graders overall had mixed experiences, with many enjoying aspects of school life while also recognizing areas where changes could create a more positive and inclusive atmosphere. Eighth grade students at Pleasant Hill expressed a range of experiences regarding their school environment, highlighting both positive aspects and areas needing attention. Many felt a sense of connection to the school and actively participated in events, while others indicated a lack of engagement. Several students identified trusted adults, often naming teachers and staff members who made them feel heard and supported. Friendships played a significant role in their school experience, with many valuing their social circles as a key part of their daily lives. Concerns about unkind behavior and negative interactions among peers were common, particularly in shared spaces such as bathrooms. Some students reported instances of discrimination based on race, body size, or social class, while others expressed frustration over how certain issues like bullying and harassment were handled. Despite these challenges, many students acknowledged positive experiences with academics, extracurricular activities, and specific teachers who showed genuine care for their well-being. In terms of improvement, students voiced a need for stricter enforcement of rules, better food options, and extended lunch breaks. Some called for more structured support in academics and career readiness, while others hoped for a more respectful and inclusive school culture. Overall, eighth graders had diverse perspectives on their school experience, with a mix of appreciation for supportive relationships and a desire for meaningful changes to enhance their daily life at Pleasant. Then we jump over to the high school side. For ninth grade, students reported varying levels of engagement in school activities, with some feeling included while others expressed uncertainty. The majority indicated they had at least one trusted adult in the school, and many cited career aspirations in fields such as medicine, engineering, and law. Concerns included unkind behavior in school, public displays of affection, and discomfort in certain campus areas. Some students expressed the need for better support in academic and career planning. For 10th grade, students showed a strong participation in school events, and many felt they were taken seriously by adults. There was a mix of post-high school aspirations, with many considering college, trade school, or direct entry into the workforce. Some students raised concerns about bullying and unkind behavior on campus. A few mentioned the desire for more teacher engagement, helping students improve their grades and preparing for their future careers. In 11th grade, for the 11th grade, students generally reported good physical and mental health, although a few expressed concerns about workload and the effectiveness of academic support. Many students cited having trusted teachers and emphasized the importance of feeling heard. Career aspirations were diverse, ranging from military service to advanced professional fields. Some students noted that unkind behavior, particularly in certain areas of the school, was a reoccurring issue. There were also a call for more mental health resources and career-focused classes. For 12th grade, Students expressed a mix of confidence and concern regarding the preparedness for post-high school life. Many felt supported by specific teachers that indicated that additional career guidance and scholarship opportunities would be beneficial. Some students mentioned that school stress and overwhelming workloads were challenges, and a few raised issues about unkind behavior. Several students suggested improvements in the school facilities, mental health resources, and academic rigor to better prepare them for the future. And that's kind of, so to summarize, is you can kind of see that about starting in sixth and seventh grade, a lot of emphasis was placed on social and peer groups and kind of finding a place in the school and getting involved. As we hit eighth grade, those same concerns around the bullying and the harassment and some of the policies and how administration is dealing with were prevalent and across all grade levels. But you start to see in eighth grade that that kind of becomes on instruction and the education that they feel that they're receiving, you know, kind of going up in each level, ninth grade, 10th grade, as to where, you know, the seniors, when you break that down with the seniors, a lot of emphasis was around career readiness, the college application process, how to apply for scholarships, and the feeling that if they're supported by the teachers in that area. As we go through here, because sometimes you wonder, like, what is that? I mean, that's kind of the summary, and it's kind of like all saying that going through these, and this is kind of overall, so you kind of see across the 400 kids that took the survey. So these aren't broken down by the individual grade level, but you can kind of see this is dated from the answers of the questions that corresponded to with the narrative. So the first page is which group you identified with, and it gives you our demographic breakdown as it was reported by the students. So predominantly, obviously we're a predominantly white school, and you can kind of see the different breakdown from the ethnicities beyond that. Well, to get the breakdown that way, I feel like part of my school, you can see that 75% of the kids rated it a 3 or a 4. So yeah, it's a 75%, and obviously the 5.3% that identified themselves as not feeling a part of the school. And I mean, that is a concern. It's 20 students, but I mean, I think every student's important to try to drill down on that a bit more. And I'll talk about kind of the next steps with the survey and how we can do that. I've included in a lot of activities at my school. Again, you've said about 75% of the students feel like they're included in their activities at the school, and 24 that that they're not at all involved in activities at the school. The one side note too about this is we actually do have data. We can reach out to the students who didn't feel connected, so we do have that data. And so we can set up in our teams or talk about kids that rated that as a point. Don't feel like they were helping and see how that connects can be made. How many school events have you attended or participated in? You're about the 70% range, that 3 or more events. The majority of the people claim that they've been involved in 6 or more events at the school. 0 events, you know, about 10% of our population claim that they haven't done anything. So that came to anything, homecoming dances, athletic events, or been a part of the student body. There's at least one teacher or adult that I can talk to in my school if I have a problem. Yeah, it's again 75% again that claim that they have a teacher or somebody that they can talk to in their school, and the 34 that claim that they don't feel that they have a teacher or an adult that they can talk to in the school. The next is question is about, do they feel that people in school take their opinions seriously? The first one is, other students in my school take my opinion seriously, and you can say it's 54% that say the 3 or the 4. And again, it's just like 50-50 that are a 1 and a 2. They say that their students don't take their opinion seriously. On the other hand, which is nice, is adults in my school take my opinion seriously, and then you're up at the 74% range. That students feel they do, that their teachers do take them seriously. And 19 that did not agree with that. Teachers at school respect me, and you're in the 81% of students feel that teachers at the school respect, and 4% believe that the teachers don't respect them in any way. Most teachers at my school care about how I'm doing, and you're in that 81% range of teachers care about how they're doing. And again, 2% of the students feel that the teachers don't care, what's going on with them that way. The next one deals with emotional and physical safety at school. And when you take a look at that, it's 75%, 76% that say that they do feel emotionally and physically safe at school. And 6% or 24 students do not feel that they're physically or emotionally safe at school. And the goals for post-high school kind of breaks it down. There were more that like one student, things like that, they had a writing response, but they kept the big ones. And four-year colleges, 58% plan and want to go to a four-year institution. Two-year colleges or trade school, 34%. Direct to work, 1%. Advanced degrees, 19% of those. And then military service, 53 kids want to go to the military at 13.4%. These, this next set of the bar graphs are really, this is going to be something heavily that we discuss when I share this information with staff, because I think these are good kind of like conversation starters. What do we do in our classes? Classes at my school prepare me for college and career readiness. All of my classes is low, more than half is a pretty high range, and that it's like less than half and more than half are kind of the majority there. And sharing that classes at my school are challenging. All of my classes not so much. Less than half are challenging, more than half are challenging. So it's kind of settling in that middle part. Teachers talk about college and career readiness in my class. And you can see that less than half is the majority, less than half that their classes do. And then of course, the more than half in all my classes is a smaller portion. And teachers expect me to attend college or post-high school training. And you can kind of figure that, but the more than half, less than half are the majority there. So about 250 of the 400 respondents were kind of in that area, like more than half, less than half, but not all of the classes. And then the four pie charts at the bottom, one talks about your physical health, and the poor quality is very, 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 very low. The excellent is 23%. So a quarter of our kids think that they're in excellent health. Very good health is 40%, and good health is 30%. So, and then your mental health, the other thing, you can see that poor jumps up a little bit. More kids feel they have poor mental health, and the excellent and very good, equate to about 43% of the kids in the school. With just good, saying that they feel average is about 30%. Then we get to the questions around, have you ever felt uncomfortable or unsafe on campus? And the no's are 60%, but 40% say that they do, or they have felt at some point uncomfortable or unsafe on campus. And I know how to access resources to help a friend in need. And that's nice, because 94% of the kids say that they know, they either explicitly know how to, or they're unsure, but they probably kind of may know something or may know where to go to get that information. The next question is, so have you ever felt targeted because of your race, religion, body size, sexual orientation, gender, ethnicity, or class? And it breaks it down by what kids on the drop down menu, what they felt that they were. So 67% feel that they were not or have not been targeted at school. Body size is the largest issue that you kind of see there. And I think that is the body shaming, we're dealing with that currently right now, looking into an instance of that right now. Have you seen it happen to other people on campus? And no is 47%, but yes, so 50-50. 50% said yes, that they have seen it happen to other people. And what was that other person targeted for? In body size. 30% of the people say that they witnessed somebody targeted on body size, sexual orientation, and then gender, and the biggies there, and then the race. So take a look at that graphic. And then the question was, how does that make you feel? And 13%, 14% mad, 14% sad, upset is 27%. So you basically have 28 plus 27, 50. So And then I feel nothing, it's like 50% of the kids are just complacent in watching them. They don't have a thing about it, either way. Is there anything that you see on campus that makes you feel uncomfortable or bothered? And the unkind behavior, outranks everything. And, almost 50% of the kids say that the unkind behavior makes them feel uncomfortable. The people in bathrooms is 20%, and then PDAs are 13, and the people's clothing choices is 12%. So then the questions were, and this is a slide presentation, by the way, so that's why you're going to see that continue. But what has been going well at school? So these are the things that were broken down and synthesized. Supportive teachers and staff. Many students appreciated teachers and staff members who provided a welcome and supportive environment. The specific staff members praised for their approachability and guidance. And one of the questions after that was like, who is a trusted adult on campus? So I do have that data, but I just didn't want to publish that out and put out certain features and things like that. The school events and activities, participation in events such as sports, performing arts, and homecoming contributed to a strong sense of community and engagement. Enjoyable classes, and these are all things that's going well. Enjoyable classes. Some students found certain subjects engaging, particularly those related to their career interests, such as math, social studies, band, and hands-on learning experiences. Improved safety and inclusion. Students noted efforts to create a safer and more inclusive environment, with the library mentioned as a comfortable and secure space. I can't wait for them to see that next year. It gets remodeled. Extracurricular activities, career-focused programs, and activities aligned with student interests were seen as beneficial and enjoyable. Positive relationships, so friendships and social connections were a highlight for many students, helping to make their school experience more enjoyable. What can be done at Pleasant Hill Middle High School to improve the school and or the experiences at the school? Stronger enforcement against bullying and unkind behavior. I think we all are seeing that trend come through in every single aspect of the survey that went out. Many students reported witnessing or experiencing unkind behavior and bullying on campus, and requested stricter enforcement of rules to prevent these issues. Improved mental health resources. Some students suggested providing more mental health support, including counseling and counseling services and stress management resources. Better monitoring of school bathrooms. Concerns about inappropriate behavior such as vaping and other misconduct in the restroom were frequently mentioned, with students asking for increased supervision. More career and college preparation. Students expressed a need for better access to scholarships, college counseling, career guidance, particularly in preparation for both trade careers and higher education, and more engaging classes and teaching methods. Some students found their classes unchallenging or ineffective and suggested improvements in teaching strategies to make learning more engaging. Continuing, expanded extracurricular and study spaces. Requests were made for more areas where students can safely gather and study or hang out without restriction. I go back to our library remodel. I think it's going to provide us another space, because we have the common areas. If you've been in the hallways, we have the common areas where students can sit if they have an off period, they can go and work. We have the library, and then on top of that, the student center, but typically it's looking great day. It's pretty good. Stricter discipline for disruptive students. Some students expressed frustration with classroom disruptions and suggested that teachers focus more on students who want to learn rather than those causing disturbances. Longer lunch breaks. Many students felt that current lunch period was too short and requested an extension to allow enough time to eat and socialize. Dress code and PDA enforcement. Concerns were raised about public displays of affection and inconsistent enforcement of dress codes, with some students asking for clearer guidelines and stricter policies. And then updated school facilities. Suggested upgrades to weight rooms, classrooms, and other facilities to improve the overall experience. And then they asked the question, what do you currently need help with? And academic supports. Many students requested additional help in subjects like math, English, and science, as well as more challenging coursework tailored to their career interests. Mental health resources. Some students expressed the need for more access to mental health support, counseling services, and stress management resources. Scholarship and college prep assistance. Many students wanted more guidance on applying for scholarships, understanding college requirements, and planning their future careers. Career guidance requests were made for clearer pathways to trade schools, military careers, and professional fields, with students seeking advice on which course to take for their desired careers. General school support, some students mentioned needing help with organization, time management, and improving their grades. Financial assistance, a few students expressed concerns about affording college and supplemental financial aid resources. The last two questions were, does you or your family need help with food? 97%, 98% said no. If there were some responses that said yes, and we have that information, so we know how to reach out to them. And do you need help with clothing? 99% said no. And I want to say families that said no. In addressing some of these things that we've had previously, we kind of came into the year knowing that bullying and harassment was an issue. We talked about it at the beginning of the year and put some things in place. And the same thing with stress and stress management, kind of coming to us first from people who are super involved in school and different aspects of school. And so one of the first things that we did is, and I don't know how to find it, your child went to the assembly where we had a sport psychologist who was a female tennis pro, an ex-tennis pro, sports psychologist at Grabowski came in and kind of gave a little talk on kind of balancing and which is, I think is pretty interesting data. So last year, so this is referrals by location and kind of the number of referrals. This is the 23-24 school year. It's the same time. It's the same time period from September through today. Is the data. And at the beginning of the year, one of the things that we identified was that there was just a lack of trust in the administration for like the teachers won't write referrals. It's like the urban legend was nothing happens. Why write the referral? And what we did is we kind of committed to them. No, what I found was that like in a school I came from, you know, so that like an NCR, so they were triple hit. So the second one, go back to the teacher to show the consequences of that actually dealt with it, right? And we weren't giving teachers their referrals back. So a teacher may write a referral and may have been dealt with, or maybe not, but they never knew. And so that just that kind of the feeling of school is just don't do it. So now you can tell what happened in the same period of time this year. Now that teachers have figured out that we are dealing with the referrals. So last year at the time, only 43 referrals were processed at the beginning of the school year, and now we're at 147 referrals. So almost like 3 times the number of referrals that have been processed this year, and it's broken down by class. So you can kind of take like I think it's mind-boggling to take a look at referrals in the past 23, 24, and you have 14, and now you have 96, and you can kind of see, and it might be what I would expect. It's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders while they're kind of learning how to navigate the freedom, and they're a little bit more touchy, maybe a little bit more loose with their mouth, and you know how they call things, not knowing the meaning or the implications of words that they say can hurt people. In the high school, same thing. Now, if you take a look, there was like 10th and 11th grade, no referrals were written at this time last year for a 10th or 11th grader. We had 16 written this year, and actually less for seniors. But as you take a look down the right hand column, you can kind of see by grade level how those differences have occurred over the course of the years. So I think what we're trying to communicate out to staff is like, if you write it, we will deal with it. We're not turning the head or things like that. It's just the reporting. And one of the examples I'll use is something that we're dealing with today is, you know, basically what you have is a kid who's and never reports it, never tells a teacher, never tells administration, you know, ends up going home to a mom. The mom kind of calls up and says, nothing's happening with this. And we're like, this is the first that we're hearing about it. So let's get the kid in the office. Let's talk to the kid. What's happening to you? Who's doing this? And what's the situation? Where did it happen? And then it's like an onion. it just unfolds because you should talk to one person and then everybody's like throwing everybody else up. And so you kind of find out that this one person that may be bullying a student is actually three students. And then it comes back that even the kid that's being bullied is actually bullying, harassing some of the kids that are bullying him. And so everybody gets a consequence. It's not that there's, we get the consequence of that. It's like I said, we're right in the middle of that onion right now. We're just peeling it. Ken's doing just a fantastic job of methodically running through this and taking the notes, and communicating with the parents, what's going on, what our plan is. So overall, administrative, we're trying to get the trust of the staff to fight through rules, let us take that and let us kind of fix it, change the culture of the school. With the data now. So obviously I will have a staff meeting and kind of focus on, if you see it, write it, or if you see it, tell somebody, things like that. So we just instill that faith, and I'm hoping that by showing this data to the staff, that they'll understand that, wow. I mean, there's a lot of referrals being written this year, and they're all being dealt with, because these are all processed. It's just not the number of referrals. These are all things that have gone in, they've been processed, dealt with, consequenced out, or not consequenced, depending on the outcome. And they've been entered into the synergy system, which then goes to the Oregon data suite. And so all this, these are the reportable items that we've been dealing with. So hopefully that will gain trust. In the same aspect, I'll be meeting with the high school leadership class, and then we'll start breaking down the same things, well, behavior, bullying, harassment, things like that, and then start talking about what do we do as a student body? What do we do to, try to put a stop to this, or how can they help us? How can we help them? And the same thing with the middle school. So the middle school has a student council, we'll get the middle school student council, the same thing, the same presentation, kind of share the information and just, basically talk, but just make sure that kids know that if it's happening, you have to come tell us. If you don't tell us, you're not snitching. Or go to the adult that you trust, and you have that, you can deal with it. So that's kind of where we're at. So the next consider meeting with the staff and the student organizations, kind of building an action plan, and kind of whether it's a campaign, whether it's a poster thing, whether it's it turns out. We small things like right now, things like just want a River bus to the game tomorrow in Crestwell. So we got the River bus sign up sheet. Hopefully we get it was 5. So hopefully more kids will kind of come in, and it's probably a hard River bus to Crestwell, it's 90 miles away. So if you want to get it, something. Get to Crestwell, but so I'll open it up to you guys.
Or the party policy that you started at the beginning of the year, is that reflected in some of these referrals?
No.
Now the referrals and classrooms, is there like well understood guidelines what the
There's a handful of sometimes that the referral will come in and it'll just be a comment with the student, like that drawing that. It could be like a minor type of thing, minor and major referrals. Minor referrals that kind of come in, the teachers deal with. And so it's usually a call home to the parents, just what's happening, I need your help at home. And when it kicks to the point that they can't deal with it, they will feel like they've matched a major referral. And one of the major referral categories is previous actions. And if we see something that has no previous action by the teacher, we'll actually funnel it back to the teacher and say, hey, you're gonna call the parent. You got to engage in this team thing. You just don't try to get a referral from the first event. It's not the first time. This is like the 8th things. What have you done with the other 8 times that they're doing this? And it's just encouraging the teachers. And it's just kind of like when you see it, it's kind of back to, well, it's going to be a good thing. Now, kids in class.
school for 10 years and 5 as assistant principal, fine, I'll come stand in your bathroom with you. They don't like standing in your bathroom either. It's like, give me space, no, give me space. That constant.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. I just want to make sure that there's nothing more severe that would be occurring, because you see that. You see the respondents that don't feel safe, and then you hear that there may be inappropriate stuff happening in bathrooms, and that would just be really concerning, just to make sure that we're following up on anything beyond what you described.
In general, a very safe campus for students.
And the PDAs, obviously kids must know where to go or where to look, because I swear we're in the hallways. I have not seen a long kiss between, so unless, you know, it's like smooches.
I know.
Like I just had a peck on the, you know, going to go, I haven't seen one. I haven't had to say, break it up, you know, or anything. I haven't had to be the parent that dives between two kids. So no, but they see it, obviously, because it was reported many times, and the public displays of fact. I think I've only seen 2 middle school kids with a boyfriend or girlfriend this year. I mean, that were walking and holding hands, and I actually could tell the middle school kids knock it up, don't hold hands. Don't want to see that, but yeah, so I haven't seen it. But it's obviously there. So when I get to the high school and we start talking to students, I'm gonna be, what is going on? Where are these public displays?
Yeah.
That we need to be. And we will say the same thing. What is that behavior that you're seeing that is disturbing? You know, what is it? And see if it is something super bad or nefarious. The other day I walked in the bathroom in the handicap stall of the boys' bathroom at the middle school. They have 2 service doors that get to the piping in there. And I walk in there, 2 kids, both have their arms in them, just far down on the side of, like, I don't know if they're putting something in them, or I look with my flashlight to see if they're like trying to deposit anything in there. But I mean, they figured out that they could just use a nickel and turn the screw and open the door, and now they're in it. Little work order into Jim Dean that says, you might want to get something a little bit different than this.
Yeah.
The nickel open up and they have valves. I mean, they have like, I think you can turn all the water out of my toilets, right from the wall, so. Yeah, actually, it just.
We need to put this that kind of, ingenuity into like something constructive.
Intellectual
Right.
curiosity.
Like, let's
Yes.
reapply this, please.
Yeah, we don't have to
Look at what could you guys accomplish if you just reapplied this?
Research says that's about age 25 for men.
Oh, it's maybe older. I'm not surprised it's that young.
Clothing stuff, is the dress code, is it by district or state level, are there guidance, or is it just we can come up with anything we want?
Usually by the building.
It's by
Yeah,
building.
district.
Okay,
Yeah.
district, so we can do whatever we want, and I'm guessing we have one set up right
We do,
now.
it's in the student handbook, and the typical dress code is, you know, thing that is it a distraction? If you're talking about inappropriate clothing, they might be too revealing or something like that, it's cause a distraction, are you looking it up? And then, the main things around like weapons, drugs, swear words.
There's like pictures on, that's what the current one is,
Yeah.
for the current dress code.
And so typically the thing will be like, hey, turn it inside out, a shirt that has beer or, you know, and then of course. Then there's the always debatable with students who want to get into a debate with a student is Sun River Brewing a alcohol shirt or is it a restaurant shirt? Or a Hot Valley hat? You know, and that.
Sure,
promoting-
right.
Yeah, so we get that little pushback, but obviously if it's a Bush Light t-shirt. And then we have plenty of Built Gang and Billy Pride shirts that we can give to students who kind of need something.
Those all sound pretty tame to what?
Yeah.
What-
Do you have any idea what
Just, well, I was here.
these, they're like the, I guess. In all these surveys, it didn't say what specific things people were upset about clothing stuff.
Right, didn't say like what clothing are they?
Yeah, it's like what do you not like? That might be another one to follow up on, I guess, the same in the bathroom over there, PDA is just kind of aware they're seeing what.
Kind of like piggybacking off what, student rep said when they were here in regards to the survey, we would just look forward to hearing like some of the ideas that come out of discussions with staff and with students.
You are, Susanna Williams is actually going to attend the session with me when I'm going over the leadership, and she'll be taking notes, so she'll be doing that, so I can actually bring that back to you. And then I'll do that after we do it, I'll do that in a report. Or I'll bring the students talk about that to you.
That would be excellent.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know how easy the survey is to sort or whatever, but a lot of these questions from the like interactions with their students or teachers, it was about 75-25, like figuring out if it's the same 100 students who are always rating ones all the way across the board for everything, or twos, if that's a pattern or not, or if they're, you know, or if it does kind of bounce around.
I don't know, I don't know if that's a filter check.
Yeah, I don't know.
T,
So just a thing to think about, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I am comparing to nothing, but I feel like there's a lot here to be proud of. I mean, 75% of your student body is going to 5 or more events. That seems high.
I've said it 100 times, this is the best place I've ever worked. It's a great school, you know, and with that, but it has the challenges that every school has. And it's at a smaller scale, it's easier for me to build action thing and just try to maybe push that culture level a little bit to the right, a little bit more positive place and more understanding place. And really get rid of that behavior of looking for things that are standing out and getting kids wanting to come to school more.
Lost district #1 for a reason.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
That's right. You want to add?
Great work, boss.
I have one, actually, I just thought of one question on the referrals. Do you feel like the consequences and whatever that you have for the referrals have been effective for students, or how is that part of it been going?
You know, that would be a question we have to ask them. I know that we've put more kids out this year for a day or 2 days than probably has been in the past for a long time. So I think students, you know, we're just getting tougher and tougher. So I think the consequences are more severe. I think we're just not putting up with it. And I think it looks like a duck, walks like a duck. Quacks. Once you quack, you know we're gonna deal with that. And so I think that they are. I think some kids, I can think of a couple of kids, I'm not gonna mention names, but I can think of a couple of students that I actually have seen growth. I think mature a little bit. They're not quite as worthy. Those are kids that were consequences earlier in the year for some of the behaviors. I think it has resonated. And the other thing, again, about a district like this is it is rare if I've ever not had, you should answer this question, but when you call a parent up because of the behavior of a kid, it's usually, I am really sorry, I will talk to them, this won't happen again. It's not a, you know, you'll get a parent that might enable some behavior that you kind of talk about, but for the most part, like what's your response from parents? Like when you call a parent and in the process of your phone, what would you say your general feelings?
Yeah, we'll take care of it. Love the conversation with them. Thank you.
Do you feel like they're being genuine when they say that they're gonna follow up?
Yeah.
Oh, we
I
know
think
there's-
I think there's a very clear line of demarcation between that, and then you have the, like Chris said, like enabling, making excuses for their kid. So I think there's a pretty stark line.
And if you
I don't get a lot of middle.
Yeah.
And if you hang out with us from the school in the morning or the afternoon drop off, it's, you know, weekly. Typically, if you process something, especially with the middle school kid who might have to get driven to school, doesn't drive themselves to school, you'll see us pull over, or you'll see a car pull over and one of us walk up and the windows down. So oftentimes we're having face-to-face conversations based on a phone call conversation that we had earlier. Caleb was always in the car window talking to somebody, or he'll even wave down like, whoa, you know, I need to talk to you. So a lot of times so just having that aspect where Kyle's done that, because Kyle's out there, so the high school kids that he's dealing with, he'll stop, talk to the parents will get out and come and talk to us. So just also obviously being available that way, a small community like this, where I see you every day as you go hire your wife. So it's just one of those things where, as long as if you're there and you have a problem or you have an issue, you would just, you know where we're gonna be every morning 45 minutes, you're gonna know exactly what we're gonna be. Dancing and lip syncing songs and having a great time, but we're always available for you to say, can you hold it for a second? And we do, so.
The referral data is available as well, and it's fairly well standardized through the PBIS structures. And I forget how many in the yellow? You folks that are close with the PBIS with now, and I am,
What percentage
Yeah.
should be in there?
that they look for,
15,
15% in the yellow, and it's 3 to 5
should
and
be 80, 15, 5.
80, 15, and then 5% in the red, and then the yellow is 2 to 5 referrals, and then red would be considered 5 or more. Our triangle is,
For one student.
yeah, our triangle is green. You can already see the color at the top. Once they get a referral, it's very few of our kids get more than one referral. You bring it up.
97.3% of our students had 0 to 1 incident. And then 2 to 5 incidents is 2.7%. Where to see the yellow? Sure.
That's small.
That's good.
And some of our new data systems that work.
Nice. Right, integrated guidance planning.
Okay. Next one is the packet that's got the exhibit 2425.184. This is the integrated guidance update, literacy instructional coaching, so it's a combination of a couple of pieces that are going here. So through the integrated guidance, what we've been engaged with this year. As a administrative staff, as a staff required from the state is, well, the integrated guidance, when we first started this, is a 4-year cycle. In the end of your second year, going into, or at the end of your second year, you start going into the process of engaging with the community again. We've been involved with re-engaging with our data sets, our OSAS data, our attendance data. The survey is an example of that data. Our 15, we'll have another 15 meeting coming up on March 18th to go over the learner profile. The 5 meetings that we had around the learner profile, that was all information that we've been gathering. So what this does is go through and really looks at our integrated guidance plan, the engagement process that we've been through, and there's some recommendations in here that start to tease out as far as what changes will happen with the integrated guidance plan going forward. And so I think it's going to be the end of April. Will be a report on the integrated guidance plan that we intend to submit to the state. That for you guys should have an update for it. But this is kind of that piece that's leading us towards a full, not change with the integrated guidance plan, but update to it based on the changes that we've seen. So in the introduction, as we continue to engage in our integrated guidance planning processes, our efforts to enhance student learning and teacher effectiveness, especially related to literacy, stands out. To address this, I want to highlight the impact of instructional coaching. And then I sent you guys at your last update the 3 articles on instructional coaching as well, just so you have time to go a little deeper into it if you want. Based on recent research and best practices, instructional coaching is proving to be a crucial factor in improving teacher efficacy, retention, and student achievement. This report provides an overview of key instructional coaching strategies and their benefits as outlined in the supporting documents. And the supporting documents are the 3 that I sent you during the update last Friday. Additionally, this report integrates key district priorities, including Pleasant Hills integrated guidance objectives, the board's equity lens, and ongoing professional development efforts to ensure equitable learning opportunities for all students. So start with the TNTV learning walks, the findings and implications. So the overview of those learning walks. They conducted a learning walk across district schools to assess instructional practices and student engagement and alignment to guaranteed viable curriculum. Their observations, the strengths was that there was a strong teacher-student relationship and then the use of core instructional materials. I would point out that this is the strong relationship with the core instructional materials was primarily at the elementary school. The middle school was an area that was highlighted for actually some work on core instructional materials. Areas for improvement, inconsistent implementation of rigorous instruction, varying levels of student engagement, and then gaps in the instructional alignment to the standards. existed. Recommendations that came out of these learning walks to strengthen the instructional coaching, to provide real-time feedback and targeted support, utilize data from STAR assessment like a Renaissance to guide instruction and intervention, and implement structured professional development to align instructional practices with district goals and improve student achievement. The next alignment piece is around the role of the data-driven decision-making. So the STAR assessment is an example. So STAR assessment will give you timely and actual data, provides real-time insights into student progress, allowing educators to make informed instructional decisions. An alignment with instructional coaching. So instructional coach uses STAR assessment data to identify student learning gaps and tailor support for teachers to adjust instructional strategies accordingly. Personalized interventions. So by analyzing the assessment results, an instructional coach would help teachers develop targeted intervention plans for struggling students, particularly for SPED and disadvantaged groups, which are our main focal groups that we're concentrating on. And then continuous monitoring. So with the STAR assessment supports ongoing progress monitoring, ensuring that instructional strategies remain responsive to student needs and are aligned with curriculum goals. Next is look at our longitudinal targets and student performance trends. So to better understand academic progress, Pleasant Hill has set long-term goals in core areas such as literacy, mathematics, graduation rates, and student engagement. So the key targets: third grade literacy, targets for improvement in reading comprehension and foundational literacy skills, particularly among focal groups. And this was also seen through our learning walks. Mathematics achievement, emphasis on closing the proficiency gap by increasing support in critical math concepts was noted. Graduation and completion rates, year-over-year goals to improve on-time graduation rates with a focus on supporting historically underserved populations. We'll see our graduation rate and our completion rates are high. The areas that we've really got to focus on, we see, and it's a small amount of students, we did around our local groups of students that are identified as special education, or generally speaking, don't have economic support at home. And then regular attendance, increasing engagement and attendance rates to ensure students benefit from consistent instructional experiences. So what we've seen already is our regular attendance rates are going up. So now we've got them that are looking at the instructional experiences that we've got them at school more often. And then connection to the instructional coaching. So coaches would work with teachers to align classroom instruction with these targets. The data from the STAR assessment would be used to track progress towards meeting the benchmarks, and then targeted interventions are implemented to support students at risk of falling behind. Next would be the alignment with the integrated guidance objectives. So under transition programs for key grades, remember part of our original plan was the transition programs. So the objective of that was to develop and implement transition programs for kindergarten, 6th to 9th grade students, focusing on supporting students with disabilities and those requiring tiered interventions. And the alignment, an instructional coach can provide targeted support to teachers in these critical transition years, ensuring that instructional strategies are adapted to meet the diverse needs of students, particularly those disabilities and those requiring additional interventions. Next, a focused approach to social emotional learning. The objective, implement a focused approach to SEL and providing comprehensive support for students, families, and staff. In alignment with a coach can guide teachers in integrating SEL into their daily instruction, fostering a supportive classroom environment that addresses the social and emotional needs of students, enhancing overall learning outcomes. Our formation of care and data teams. So that objective was to form teams that frequently review student data to inform decision-making processes, focusing on individual student achievement. The alignment there is an instructional coach can lead and facilitate teams, help to analyze data, develop action plans, and address individual student needs, promoting a data-driven culture within the school. Comprehensive learning strategies, document and communicate comprehensive literacy strategies, including professional development plans for educators. And this is the one right now where we're seeing this focus. I think in the work that we're doing, getting more detail is around literacy strategies. The coach can assist in developing and disseminating effective literacy strategies, providing professional development and ongoing support to ensure consistent implementation across classrooms. And this includes the idea of where we talked about core instruction. So working with teachers on how you take a core curriculum and implement that through fidelity, number one, but also still have the opportunity to, if you have novel type of instruction that you want to be of that favorite novel you have in your back pocket as far as a lesson plan, be able to use that to enhance the actual core instruction. But without the core instruction, we don't have that kind of guaranteed and viable curriculum that we know kids are getting. They're just a baseline of their education. And the same thing with the elementary area is while the core instruction is pretty solid, we've got a lot of different options around supplemental materials that are used, and so very little cohesiveness though as far as why we're using what and in what manner are we using. So the system is broken down in the sense that we need to quick and shrink things and simplify things. So part of that is having an instructional coach assist in developing those systems and help them stick. Next one is increasing career and college readiness. So increase career and college readiness and provide robust support for students. Through coaching, teachers can implement instructional practices that develop critical thinking, problem solving, and other skills essential for post-secondary success, thereby enhancing students' preparedness for future endeavors in alignment with the Pleasant Hill learner profile. Enhancing learning time and academic supports. Our objective was to increase high quality, well-rounded learning time and implement a comprehensive system of academic supports for students. And the alignment to the coach, coaches can work to ensure, or to work with teachers to optimize instructional time, incorporate diverse learning activities, and establish support systems that address academic needs for all students. And taking a look at this, like with the equity lens and decision making. So our equity lens provides a framework for ensuring that instructional coaching policies and professional development align with district goals of inclusivity and equity. So the key equity focused considerations for instructional coaching and professional development include ensuring that coaching and professional development initiatives align with our mission and vision while addressing systemic disparities. It includes involving students, families, and community stakeholders in instructional decision-making to create a collaborative approach. Involves evaluating the impact of the instructional coaching on marginalized student groups, including SPED and economically disadvantaged students. It includes using disaggregated data to assess and refine instructional strategies to meet the needs of all students. It includes implementing sustainable professional development initiatives that provide long-term instructional benefits and equitable student outcomes. And it includes addressing unintended consequences of policy decisions to mitigate disparities and create an equitable learning environment. So in conclusion, the instructional coaching, when aligned with the STAR assessment system that we're looking at, a guaranteed and viable curriculum enhances our mission by ensuring all students receive high equitable instruction, high quality equitable instruction. The TNTP learning walks, findings, and longitudinal targets further reinforce the importance of the structured instructional support and professional development. By embedding coaching within our educational framework, we can enhance teacher effectiveness, implement data-driven instructional practices, and improve academic outcomes for all students. And applying the equity lens ensures that all instructional strategies and policies prioritize inclusivity, data-informed decision-making, and sustainable improvements. For the most part, we are done with much of our engagement now after this particular survey. We met with Theron last week. It was then the 12th with the student leadership group. We looked at one of the components of the learner profile, and then how the students go through and really kind of break those things down as far as what did this look like or mean from a student perspective. We got great data back. I've got some that I'll be able to share with you at another time. Plan is to engage with some of those students, if not all of them, and bring them back to the 15 so we can actually have the student perspective with the teachers at the same time in the room. They were aligned with that as well. A lot of what the students talked to us about with the learning profile and I guess their thoughts about instruction in the classroom really worked on or talked about a coherence or connection to what it is that they were doing, and that connection to like the next class or a college or a career related field. A couple of students talked a lot about just having the ability to differentiate or choose kind of their learning outcome within a class, and how they can be, I guess, a more tailored individual response to their learning. And a lot of that gets back, I guess, for me to this concept of having instructional coach in a classroom to work directly with the teacher. I guess to simplify it, the students would, I think, explain it as, or what I took it as, is a lot of their learning they felt was very rote kind of task oriented versus, I mean, the understanding, I think that I get this, that a lot of that does have to be task oriented and not actually learning to replicate something over and over. You think of like fact fluency with mathematics as an example. But the next step in that is the differentiation and how to apply to a real life problem, solving a problem. One student talked about a science teacher and that science teacher actually provides those opportunities when they actually have to create a scientific inquiry type of model of learning in their classroom, and that freedom to put that together for themselves. So questions about the integrated guidance. Then I gave you a snapshot of all of the objectives that we currently have. What I imagine is the objectives not necessarily changing, but there's some of them we know that we can collapse because we've got a Green College Center actually up and running right now. So some of that can collapse. Others around like literacy need to be expanded now that we've got a professional development plan that's starting to come together. There's more cohesiveness with our TNTP, and then looking at adding the instructional coach piece. The instructional coach piece, I think, is a key one, is having somebody that when you are either in person, and most of our TNTP stuff right now has been through Zoom, is you've got that person to be able to then step into the classroom after the instructional coaching. So if you got instructional coaching happening on a Friday in an hour and a half period of time, you've got that person with the bandwidth to then come right around on a Monday and come into the classroom specifically with the teacher and to start to put those practices in place so that they stick.
And you talked about the budgeting for the instructional coach. I got the one retired that we're expecting, but like I got lost after.
So right now, what Sherry is putting together as a budget will be a rollover of staffing. That can be like a misnomer when you think about the rollover, but we're adding a position.
Yeah.
The position will be a reorganization of elementary staffing with that retirement because their numbers are down. So since you were saying that the elementary school, your numbers are down, I forget the exact number, but it's 60 kids, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
So that FTE is going to come out of the building, like it would in a normal year, I think, in our normal staffing processes. And then that will fund the FTE for the instructional coach. And we will look to hire a district instructional coach, but really have them focus K-8 right now.
Is it going to affect the class size of one grade level?
Potentially, the conversations that Brenda's been having with the staff is having them work through the process or understanding that the priority that I've seen it and the priority that I think came up at the last meeting with the question that Drew asked was community priority and school board priority is keeping class sizes low. So we have the opportunity to keep 3 teachers at each grade level to keep the class sizes low. That will require a reorganization of their targeted support for reading. Right now we have 2 licensed staff members for that. That's not common. One is the norm, especially I think for a building like our elementary school.
That
When I
seems
say
like,
building like our elementary school, would not consider us as a economically disadvantaged elementary school.
In terms of the student population.
Yeah.
So would the reading specialists serve all 5 grades still?
Yes,
Or just one person,
yes, with the aides.
just sort of do 1 through 5, not just the other kids.
Depending on how and this is where the staff has to come together to look at where the holes will be by reducing that, and then how do you redeploy your staff back out? In a normal system, you would see that your K-1-2, where you're teaching kids to read, would receive the majority of your support and receive the support at a time that fits best within the schedule for students to receive reading instruction, which is oftentimes in the mornings. And then as you get to 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the amount of support starts to lessen off at that point in time and sometimes change. Right now, we're focused just on fluency, K-5. Brenda? Yeah. In an enhanced model, by the time you're reaching 4th and 5th grade, you're also dealing with perhaps vocabulary and comprehension in a reading program as well. So there's some changes that we're working on. As far as enhancing the reading program. Including looking at the schedule.
That kind of seems like it goes against our focus on third grade ELA proficiency and then all of these like targeted interventions. It seems like having two is definitely better than one as far as what's reported here.
Yeah, if your systems
I mean,
are,
more-
if your systems are good and the cohesiveness is there, what we've learned from the learning walks is that we're missing the key cohesiveness. Piece, and so I think the suggestion is simplifying our systems. To create a better system. Having more isn't always.
How many kids are being served 1 through 5 right now for the reading specialists?
In technical title, you might have to look at each grade level, but definitely a larger number at primary. K2, and they're designated. I don't have exact numbers, right?
I'm just wondering if one person would be able to handle all those kids. Or if we should continue to have 2 to support kids there.
They don't handle all of the kids now because EAs also run and teach groups, which is not a part of the model that would not change, where we are looking at any changes to our EA staffing.
I'm not aware of a district in the county that has. A building with 2 EAs that are essentially doing title focused work,
2 EAs.
or sorry, 2 certified licensed staff members. 2.0 FTE,
For the reading specialists.
even at your most highly impacted, there's probably as much reading support at our elementary school. As I had at Riverbend Elementary School with nearly 600 kids, 90% free and reduced lunch. 4 special education classrooms. We ran a program with one teacher and probably just as many aides.
Our reading scores are still super low.
Well, you also have to consider the reading scores of the students who take the test. Yes, they are low. Which comes back into, I think, understanding also, there's a component that's missing in the schedule, in the amount of time that we actually provide for return for instruction. So, while we've got pieces of what you would consider a science-based reading program, we're missing large components about the amount of time the students actually spend in home instruction. So core instruction model would generally have students in their classroom for reading instruction for 90 minutes at a time, and then pull out on top of that for generally about 120 minutes of reading instruction within a day.
And we have what, less than that? That was
Currently, they're being pulled for 45 of that 90 minutes. So if you think of it as like. What they should be getting at their grade level is a pie, and then. Intervention is another slice of pie, our kids are getting half of the pie. The best analogy I can come up with on the fly.
Are you talking about all the kids?
Whipped cream, there you go.
All kids.
Oh.
Yeah, that's basically the model for K-5 for all our kids.
They're not getting as much reading as they should be. You're saying, or?
Not is correct, is what the research would say in the classroom.
What was the cause of that?
It's the setup of the schedule right now.
Oh,
Yeah, is the big thing. And it goes to show that if you create more intervention, support and time, then you're gonna, that's, I mean, it's like water, that's where you're gonna fill your time up with.
I'm not 100% sold yet, but it's good to get rid of the reading specialist position.
Probably my recommendation.
Right, no, so when we come to the budget side of things, it might be good to look for a way to keep that position if it's possible, because I know we have a decent amount of surplus, and then give us with options, you know, if we did or if we didn't or something. And kind of think about it more.
And that's, I think, part of the budget process that still has to come up. I think what's going on right now is obviously having conversations with the staff, as we had the staff. Giving you guys information about changes in structure in the integrated guidance plan, because we have the timeline for that. and then still has our budget process going. So all these things get flowing at the same time. Yeah.
Your,
I'm trying to be
your
mindful.
pies don't include the after school, right? That's totally a whole
That's
nother
whipped
pie.
cream on the top.
That's what?
Whipped cream on the top. Icing on the cake.
Okay.
For me personally, trying to be mindful of what I believe is the budgeting priorities or, how would you say it? Approach that to maintain, I think, a conservative level of funding, if we don't have to add FTE, because that has to then match your revenues year after year. Trying to maintain a conservative approach to budgeting, but through the budgeting process, if you guys want me to spend more,
I'm just
no problem spending more.
having difficulty with what I'm hearing because it's very, counterintuitive. Yeah, we have low reading scores. Eliminate a reading specialist. And how does this improve it? You're going to trade the reading specialist for a
Instructional coach,
instructional coach.
Yeah.
And
Just
so,
one K-8 instructional coach.
and that's going to help us with the gap we have down by getting rid of the reading specialists. I'm just trying to, this loop,
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very much on the outside, looking in,
so there's,
and what I hear just doesn't. I'm having trouble making sense of it.
so there's more pieces to this, so. Research will tell you that the core instructional model, meaning that 90-minute period of time, that is a time when all students are receiving the same instruction. When you start to get at that's your guaranteed viable curriculum for students. Baseline learning. The intervention beyond that is work that is taking place for students that see that they need additional support to catch up to where you want your benchmark standards to be. On top of that is we also then have students that are identified for special education or they're underserved, possibly because of their economically disadvantaged, don't have support at home. We have models in place where those students are also then sent out to classrooms and they don't receive that core instructional model. And the core instructional model needs to be centered around your standards of your curriculum that the state gives you. And that is where your state has also been, your assessment scores, it's based off the standards model. So part of this is, we can say that kids are underperforming for a number of reasons. The data has shown us is that we don't have the cohesiveness as far as the instruction linked to the standards for kids to do well on the test anyway. And even in our DIBELS model, I think of providing reading instruction, we're seeing that we are pretty flat as far as the growth of students. So the current model is not, it's not a growth model. We're not seeing growth out of it.
And remind me how long have we had the two?
Before I got here. Experience of running an elementary for 11 years. And running, I think, a building really similar to this building. I was not a title building, and so I ran it with 8.7 reading specialist and
0.7?
yeah, so less than full time. Reading specialist.
For a second, I thought I heard 8.
I'm with you. I heard that too.
And an EA that for my first 3 years was fundraised through a jogathon. And then we had EAs that were available half a day in our kindergartners, that's where a lot of our EA support was. We should build the reading scores, strong growth reading scores was relatively difficult in doing that. And it really came out of really a strong core instructional program where a lot of the students receive their instruction in reading at the full level in the classroom for 90 minutes a day. And then have the additional target intervention on top of that. Want to give you your experience? You come from a high quality building.
Yeah, especially because in talking with our lead ESD partner today, is what is a school in our area that we could take teachers to see a true MTSS model in place, which is a multi-tiered system of support, and she named the school I came from. So when we think about core, tier one being everyone, tier two being some, tier three being few, like SPED. We have a core, tier one product in our building. We have to be giving everyone the full pie before we can start looking at the additional pieces. And this is, a change that will be happening, through our schedule, you know, but it is a schedule that I inherited, and that's not something that you change your first year as a principal. You know, there are some things you live and you see how it's going and you see if there's growth happening, and, but there's so much research in the other schools all over our nation and in the area that are doing it this way, that are seeing results. And coming from a school similar to what Jim described, you know, we were 97% free and reduced lunch, 30% language learners, and we moved to this model and we see growth in every single student. So I've lived the change and I know that it works.
Would more EAs be needed to close like a gap there, or would it just use the ones that are already doing it?
I'm never gonna say no to staffing, like, so. But.
More doesn't fix,
Yeah,
yeah, so more doesn't fix it. So I think my experience in being a building administrator is you get a student that is really high needs that will come in. You go to the director, you say, I need money, I don't have any, maybe our SPED director can help you. You know what? Yeah, I got plenty of money. Go hire a 7 REA. And the problem is finding a staff member who has the skills and the amount of training that takes place, professional development, to get that person to make the change in the reading score. So it's more about the professional experience of the staff.
and our EAs receive reading professional development through the University of Oregon, and they have tons of experience. And there is lots of creative ways that we can use the EAs we have with restructuring our schedule.
And you're referring to the Cultivate
Yeah.
Professional development we started this year. There it is.
So basically, summarizing, restructuring the schedule is gonna be more impactful for the reading scores than the two reading specialists. That's a general process.
Excellent.
Because that increases the core instructional time across the entire. All students.
Increases core instruction, decreases the lack of systemic cohesiveness from core instruction through diagnostic assessment. So that's one of the things that we're kind of lacking right now as well. While we have DIBELS instruction, there's another level that the STAR assessment will provide to us as far as a diagnostic assessment that says these group of students need assistance in this particular skill. It might be a blending skill, might be working on CH sounds, it might be lacking. It's that simple. It might be at the higher levels where you see students that are, and we do fluency across K-5. We see a lot of students by the time they reach grade 5 that their fluency scores are actually at benchmark or above, but they can't comprehend. And so that's where you start to see some of the reading strategies change, is working with the students on comprehension strategies. I would point out at the middle school is right now we don't have any assimilation to using the adopted curriculum. It is a mix and match of materials from novels to having brand new teachers that they weren't onboarded, that we're now working on getting materials in their hands, the adopted materials, workbooks for them. And so an instruction coach also would be able to come in and help align that work and get teachers back in planning what we call the guaranteed viable curriculum, which is the core materials. So we have consistency from sixth grade to seventh grade to eighth grade, getting ready for ninth grade.
Probably consider all the meeting schedules for the new thought process for next year at all, or what's the feedback? been?
We have started the staffing conversations, we have started, planting the seed of the schedule changes, change is hard, having me is change enough. And a lot of those conversations happen in the spring. We will have a scheduling committee that will have a teacher from every grade level on it. So that every grade level has input, because literacy is one component of the schedule. And then it will also drive the amount of time that we will have for intervention and what that looks like, and then the amount of students that are getting intervention, because it will drive our highest need students to get intervention. And there will be a prioritization system that will be more rigorous than what is happening right now, since so many students are being served in that 45 minutes.
Timing wise, the update as far as the instructional guidance and concept of the instructional coaching was delivered first year to you guys.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the ones that are highest need. Getting.
Say it again.
I'm just worried that, like, when you say you want to be more rigorous in which kids receive like the reading specialist stuff, because there's less, obviously one less teachers, so. And I understand the thought process behind remodeling the main classroom time to hopefully serve those kids, but. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I'm worried about. Side tonight, so.
This
Just
will
think
come
about it.
this will
Thank
come by-
goodness, because I do need to talk to my staff.
This will come by way of. Again, there'll be another integrated guidance report April and then through, obviously through budgeting. Process. Great. Feedback.
Right. Policy review.
All right.
And then by policy, we mean board policy.
So I've got three policies to take a quick look at tonight, and. First one, I think that is in your packet, if we're going this order, is non-discrimination. And the non-discrimination I bring up, it's something I meant to bring up actually earlier, but last year when we had the ice storm. Had a couple of community members reach out that wanted us to open up a gymnasium, basically as a kind of a warming center for showers and such. And I'll talk more about some of the other issues when we get to the facilities part of things. The issue with doing that is we have to consider our non-discrimination policy, especially in use of our bathrooms and showers, and how we may roll that out. If you hear like in town, or say Springfield open theirs up, that's not technically Springfield School District that opened theirs up, that's Willamette Lane. So Springfield has got a resolution where their board and Willamette Lane works together. The board has already said the superintendent can open the facilities up. We know that Willamette Lane and Springfield School District policies and guidelines match with that, and there's already an intergovernmental type for a working agreement. We don't have that here, so we would essentially have to staff the building to be open, and then I think the best way to be able to do it is you actually would have people not to make reservations to come in and use it, and so you would have a family come in at the same time. You then still have to make decisions about what does that look like if you have a stepfather coming in and he comes in with 3 daughters and they're all under the age of 12. And those are just big policy risks that need to take as far as we turn some families away and not other families in terms of our discrimination policy in using our facilities. in doing that. So want to do that, but it's basically the second paragraph down, district prohibits discrimination and harassment in, but not limited to. And then it goes through the employment, assignment, promotion of personnel, educational opportunities and services offered to students, student assignment to schools and classes, student discipline, and then this next one is location and in use of facilities. So essentially, we can't discriminate against anyone based on the qualifying factors in the first paragraph, which includes the use of our facilities. Which is about discrimination, an issue that comes up when we open our facilities up.
So in regards to that question put to me by the community, what's your recommendation to the board in terms of the district's response moving forward?
I would not, there's, if you've got a large scale, and I think of situations that we've dealt with sometimes in town. We've had large scale flooding, for instance. It usually the response is usually like Red Cross, for instance, will come in. I think Red Cross even has pots in some of our schools. To my graves, they have pots. So they will come in and Red Cross then through a facilities agreement will actually then take the facility on and then they run it. And the facility agreement is with Red Cross and the understanding that they're going to actually follow and enforce our guidelines, but then Red Cross takes it on. That's the direction I would go. Otherwise, it was just left to us as a district. We personally, the administration team would have to monitor that. Crestwell attempted to do that the last time with the ice storm, and so an administrator would be housed at the gymnasium. They would take appointments, people would come in and use the showers, and they just make sure that they had just single people using it, like single use at a time as far as their appointments. That generally, I don't think they had very few use in doing that. So anyway, I'd say if we have the opportunity to have somebody like a Red Cross come in and actually run it, then we do it. If we don't have that, then I'm looking at that for years. Yeah.
Would that also make, it's not another example that would be like the Egan Warming Centers that in Springfield.
Correct.
Let them use that.
Yeah.
They come in and use the facility, they run it. You know, we have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Facilities agreement does align with that, so we do have the. Let's just get to that one next. So the community use of district facilities policy. And essentially it's the service activities, which is the last couple of words there in the first sentence. And then if you go down the middle of the second paragraph, it's the users must agree to all guidelines on the facility use request form. And then on our use request form, and this is, I don't think our facility users often, I can guarantee they don't, but they don't read really what they're signing oftentimes. But in our facility use form, if somebody is using our facilities, they actually agree to our anti-discrimination policy. So they recognize that if I'm using this, I cannot do anything that would be in violation of the district's anti-discrimination policy. So those are the two pieces. I think what I was getting at is this is how our facilities use agreement works in conjunction with our discrimination policy and some of the difficulties in opening up facilities up for anyone to come in and use them. The last one to review is around the.
Sorry, this kind of triggered something.
Yeah.
I think maybe is kind of along the same lines. That I kind of completely glossed over. This kind of triggered me thinking about it. I'm for some reason it made me think of 4th of July. And what happened? I don't know if it's what happened in previous years. I don't know if any other board member who was out here thought last 4th of July or has been here previous years and knows what occurred before that. But you have people on campus letting off fireworks. And that seemed like a big deal to me, like, I mean, I reached out to Jim and I know it wasn't a school thing, but that seems like something that, obviously, we're not gonna sell it tonight, but, since it triggered my memory of that. When we're talking about facility use and liability, but also, not just liability, but also. Safety of our infrastructure. We're installing a brand new turf. We had a ton of people out there and there's, I mean. And then, where we have that greenhouse, we've got that brand new forestry building and people were letting fireworks off over there. And so I think moving forward, like, at some point, maybe we could put on the agenda for a future board meeting before the end of the school year that we address that.
So I did hear more about issues that were going on, including, I think, some damage to a fence that took place over by the baseball field just this last week when I was dealing with another facility use issue that was brought up. The issue becoming solving the problem can be very easily in the sense that we close the school grounds to it. That creates obviously another issue because the community values being able to use the school grounds to be able to see the fireworks. At that same time though, but the community then has to realize that they've got to self-police themselves and not violate guidelines or do anything to go put the school in the district in harm, and including their neighbors by setting off illegal fireworks or setting off fireworks in general, it's like a violation of our policies on school district grounds. And then just in general picking up after themselves, taking care of the infrastructure. One of the solutions, I believe, is contacting the church to see if the church can get volunteers to actually work the area. Attempt to try and police it, to keep fireworks out, and then sending out community notification, like just saying, you're more than happy to have our community or space open for you. We'll have extra trash cans out, which I understand, or I believe we do as well. But part of that is also understanding that our policies state you can have it close to the on the school grounds. And then see how the community does and that.
Yeah, I would definitely not want to see it closed, but I also. Just want to figure out a way to not have the fireworks on campus, like, I mean, that would seem like really straightforward to me, but.
The individual that brought it up to me was concerned enough that the way they explained it is they end up leaving. And I think most people want to enjoy their 4th of July without wearing a vest and policing it. I think part of that is talking with the church to see if they are willing to have some volunteers that would come over and be willing to put a stop. I've got some thoughts already. All right, so next one's around donations, scholarships, and memorials, and I included in the last update conversation I had with the Bounds father about the work they're doing that, but I thought it was important that we actually talk to this as well. The policy is not to disparage lawyers, but if it's written, I think, as any good lawyer might write it. I'll read it for you. The board will consider the acceptance of donations, scholarships, and memorials. A memorial plaque may be appropriately dedicated whenever a room or item is designated as a memorial in conjunction with a donation. So that makes it sound as though if you want to give a memorial or do a memorial, you have to give a donation, but there's really no clear definition of what donation is. So before a room-filled building, road, or other permanent facility is named for this purpose, it will be brought forth at a public board meeting. Facilities named for this purpose are exempt from the standard naming process. Offers of donations, memorials, and scholarships will be submitted to the superintendent together with information concerning the purpose of the gifts and administration of any related funds. And then a principal may receive items for his or her school as memorial to a student or person having a special significance to the students of the school. Items received as memorials become the property of the district. Principals may have the superintendent's approval to accept any item that may require additional maintenance cost to the districts. Superintendent may establish guidelines for the acceptance of such memorials. So I've worked with Mr. Bounds on some guidelines and trying to give some more specificity to the board and help guide through that process. The other piece I think that we also have to keep in mind is we are also required to have our suicide prevention manual in place as well. And so we've got prevention strategies that we look to have, and a lot of those are around what memorials look like and how we go about setting up memorials. But the thought process in general is memorials can cause students to take a look at the maybe attention that's being given and either see that as positive attention in the sense of I want that for myself, which can increase self-harm, or see that as I'm going to prove a point to people by harming myself, therefore causing attention that they didn't pay attention to me. If you're familiar with the Werther effect, it's basically a suicide contagion that ends up taking place. And so part of this is also been being sensitive to what our prevention work is in developing memorials and seeing that things are seen in kind of a positive light. So oftentimes those are often memorial. I think a good example of that would be like a scholarship where we're going to recognize particular characteristics of how somebody each and every year, like for a senior class, and then award that as a scholarship type of a memorial. Is probably the best example here, but I'm working with the family on that as well.
You guys figure out what you want to do for that, so it has to come before the board for approval or not?
It doesn't, only if we were going to go for a naming.
Oh, okay, that's the only time.
Yeah,
Okay.
threw around some ideas. Families, I mean, there's and just from some personal experience in doing this, there's sometimes feels like there's that immediate rush of grief and attention and everyone coming, and then things often just kind of stop all of a sudden and the family's left still with the grief. There's oftentimes a feeling that there needs to be something now to take place. Depending on where the family is in the process, they can feel a little bit overwhelmed in the sense of I've got a lot of people that want to help, have great intentions. They all have different ideas, and those intentions and ideas don't necessarily match what maybe I want as a family member in that memorial. And I may not even know yet because I'm still just in such a grieving process. Saying no can be very difficult because it feels like you're turning away help as well. And so I'd encourage the family to take their time as well. Then just not feel like there's a rush during this.
Even though there's not board rules isn't required, there's still be an update about what assuming there's a final decision at some point about what that looks like.
Yeah.
You receive some kind of update.
Before I do any sort of final, I think you guys the idea of what's coming through. So I've given also a process as far as submitting something to me so I can get it in writing, do the work and have a more of a detailed plan. Yeah, that. Facilities?
Yes,
All right.
facilities discussion beyond
Yes.
what we've already discussed.
Let's make this quick. So this really goes back. We've got seismic upgrade of the main gym coming. There's so what's out there right now is we've got 14 days where we have to post it publicly, and that goes through an online contractors board for the posting. At the March 3rd meeting in the agenda, there will be a place in there to actually stop, open it up for a public hearing for this, what's called the CMGC process, which is a different process that we went through for the forestry building. And I love it. It has to do with the scope and the size of this process. And then that'll be an opportunity for the board to hear any public comment about it, and then there'll be an approval process for the CMGC and the fact finding that goes with that. Once that's done, I'll begin work with the engineers and the contracting firm. Obviously, there's the 2.5 or 2.49 million that is specifically for the seismic upgrade to get it to a certain seismic level. At that same time, though, there's opportunity for us out of the general fund to support other updates to the gymnasium. So the fluorescent lights, for instance, is no longer allowed in the legislation. We've not done anything with them because it takes quite a bit of work to get a lift in there and move it around to change light after light. So this is going to be a time to actually upgrade the lighting in the gymnasium. And I think this is a great opportunity to do that. So I plan on having some money in the reserve account for maintenance for lighting upgrades. We've also got the cantina floor. We could abate and replace that. That flooring currently contains asbestos, so we'd have to abate the process, go through the abatement process. The outside door is a door that's still keyed lock, and so being able to put that on a card lock will be a good upgrade for our system as well. Our interior doors as we come in are due to be replaced as well. And then just overall general improvements to the canteen and the surrounding updates. So I look to have, and the process with this is we can give all this over to the contractors. They can get costs for it, and then based on the cost, we can start to prioritize out. For instance, it's really too expensive to do the interior doors at this time. We want to make sure and prioritize lighting and do the floors. We have enough money to go do that right away. But we're not going to do the other floor. We go through the priority process. I anticipate doing that in part of the budget that's coming up as well. Key questions for you guys is in that you see additional improvements that we'd like to consider in this project. We've got that going on. So think about that and tell me tonight. Next piece is facility improvements, and this is really beyond like our deferred maintenance of painting and roofs and such. And so this gets to the 2 gymnasiums, and I think also going back to the discrimination policy and the use of our facilities in general. Neither our main gym or our blue gym actually has hot water supply to it, and so they're not. We would go open them up for staff for showers or hot water anyway. So the idea of, one or both of those gymnasiums actually getting up and running with showers. If we looked at doing something, the blue gym or the main gym is probably the most widely available and used to adding hot water and getting showers back up and going. And I think the floors in there are probably the best shape. The blue gym also does not have a generator backup for heating. And so once the electricity is gone, it doesn't have any backup use. So the idea of adding a generator back in is an example, making it more reliable for emergency use. Since this, I've also learned that the blue gym in the girls' locker room side, the floor has been buckling and continues to buckle. So the idea of, you saw this in some of the student data, is there ways to really increase our facilities or better use our facilities? They brought the room, for example, so do we want to look at redoing the locker room in one of those areas and actually increasing the space for a locker room as an example? Those are 2 areas that are not used right now. They essentially look like they did probably the day that the gym was originally built. And then we also have some floor issues that we need to deal with in there anyway. Otherwise, we'll just close it up. And then the lower soccer fields is an area that's come up as well. And again, that was a pretty sizable chunk of money to be able to do that. I think some of the issues that come out of getting those fields back playable again and increasing their use is that will definitely be more of a strain on our facilities. Our maintenance team and being able to keep up with mowing and doing those. We are going to upgrade and buy a new the little wing piece as far as the mower with our newer tractor. So we can do things a little bit quicker. But again, it will be an add as far as the fields that we take care of right now. So other ideas or considerations for prioritization you guys might have, if you want to send those to me. Those are the two big ones, or the three big ones that are coming up right now, the two gymnasiums, the water. There's some other considerations around how we want to use our facilities. We still got a very sizable unappropriated, fund balance. It's going to be 4% here.
On the seismic upgrade to the gym. Why the CMGC process versus hard money bid process?
I don't have the entire fact finding in front of me right now. There is some savings in doing that. And we've already gone through, and Rusty brought this up, I think, as far as the process with the forestry building. The forestry building, I believe, was small enough in going through the bidding process where the law requires to take the lowest bid, and sometimes isn't always the best work. This process with a much bigger project allowed us to go through the process of actually interviewing firms and making a determination on the firm based off their qualifications. And the qualifications now out of that, having somebody be able to take on the bidding process for all of the work and immediately turn into the general contractor and oversee the work. A lot of times saving in cost savings. Otherwise, I'd have to either be doing that myself or hire somebody. Those individual pieces.
Yeah, it just seemed like when the new school was, or the high school addition was built, the new section, the CMGC process wasn't exactly the best value for the school at that time.
In the details of. I know they use the CMGC
All Kurt Offenbacher asked.
process. Yeah, I don't know.
Because there were some difficulties, blamed upon that process.
Amongst the process, yeah, I would imagine. There was issues when I went through their process as well. The RFP, yeah. Yeah, what you'll have come forward is, and you may not improve it, we gotta go their direction. Part of it is what they call the fact finding piece as well, so it'll give you the details as far as why I'm recommending this, as far as the process. Good. And I can set that at a time, I have to wait for the board meeting.
If you send us the list of just like the projects, what do you think are available, and like just the ballpark of, like, oh, I think that'll cost 10,000, whatever you think.
Yeah.
And any notes along with it, like if we did fix up the soccer field, oh, that's added work and be a little strange, just a quick thought, like if we did that thing, how that would impact things, or if it's just an improvement or what.
Yeah.
And then
At one time, improvement.
right, or if there's an ongoing thing to consider. And then we can also, think of additional things that if we've seen anything or heard anything from community members that they want improvements on.
Okay. And some of this makes like, I think as far as. It's sometimes difficult to get in and do a large, so I think about our original gym, our main gym. To go in and do a whole bunch of work on a building that was built in like 1965, versus kind of continuing to deferred maintenance and upgrades. So it's like, how much do we want to spend there?
Sure.
Where you can take some of that and, like, does the floor need to be replaced? No.
Right.
Would it be nice? Yeah. But we want to use that money somewhere else. Yeah, do that.
Last thoughts from the board, we heard the folks while we were sitting here. Okay, next meeting is a regular board meeting, March 3rd, 7 p.m. I know Jen already said that she won't be here because she's out of town, and I will also be out of town chaperoning the band trip. What?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well,
So hopefully. Drew, Rusty and John are able to make it so that there's just more, that'll even be able to hear remotely, so.